Alright, so listen, I have to talk about this because I am a very big fan of these Warriors games, these Musou games, and I loved Hyrule Warriors, so this is my shit right here. First off, I really want to say that I'm happy that Nintendo is constantly putting out these random announcements for games because it's adding up to the Switch having a pretty good holiday lineup, and I love that. But what I love even more than that is having this game, which not only is a Musou game, which I again loved, but it is a tie-in to Breath of the Wild directly. So that pretty much means that if you are a fan of Breath of the Wild and you want to be up to date on all the lore, you have to play this because it ties in very, very closely with the story of Breath of the Wild. It is 100 years before the events in Breath of the Wild. I know some people are going to be really upset about this because they don't like that Musou games are, well, just pretty simple. They're just hack and slash games. But I do have to say, me, myself, being a fan of the games that aren't the mainline Dynasty Warriors games, I have not really played any of those if I'm being honest. But I have played games like the Pirate Warriors games. I played 1, 2, and 3. I played Hyrule Warriors, and I also played Fire Emblem Warriors as well. And one thing that I love about these games is, especially with the latter two, they really take a lot of inspiration from the games that they're representing. And with Age of Calamity, that puts that even further because they're not only tying this directly into the story of Breath of the Wild, but they're doing so much more with it. Because what better way to represent the giant battle against Ganon and his forces, against all these guardians, using the Knights of Hyrule to fight against them, than to have 1v1000 fights like they said and just go through an entire war like Musou games do. In all honesty, I would say that if they did this kind of a game to show off the story of what happened 100 years ago and they didn't have a Musou game, it kind of would feel a little different. Part of the magic of Breath of the Wild was being alone and having this big open area to explore and just find a lot of cool things in. You got a lot of pieces of the lore just by going around and finding different items, finding different towns that may have been decimated, finding different people to talk to that may have had ancestors that dealt with these things in the past. So yeah, I am very happy to see that they're doing this type of route with the game, and I'm so happy for it. But one thing I did want to touch on is the comparison to Hyrule Warriors, the first game, is that the first game seemed to be more so of a celebration of the entire series. There was a lot more going on there with a lot of different characters, a lot of different games it was representing, and this one is focusing solely on Breath of the Wild. One thing I can say for sure about the first game that I loved the hell out of was the fact that you could play as so many diverse characters from the entire Zelda series. So comparing that to Breath of the Wild, at first I thought, hey, there's not a lot of characters you can pull from, so are we really going to get a lot of extra characters going forward? Because, you know, they're going to try and push out more characters later on somehow, but you know, how would they do that? What characters do they have to pull from? Or hell, if there's characters that they're going to show off later on, I mean, there's another update on it coming later on this month. If they're going to show off more characters that are already in the game, what would those characters be, or what characters would I want to see in this game? Because again, that's a huge part of the game. Well, first off, right off the bat, there is a character that we do see, but we really don't see it at the same time. It's a little cute little white guardian thing on the cover of the game, and I don't know what that is, but I'm assuming that either we're going to play as it or it's going to be some sort of a Navi for us. Because in the first game, Navi was used kind of like a voice for Link, and it was used as a way for Link to talk, or if Link was by himself, I mean, Navi would just talk and give us information. So I could see them doing that and going that route because, I mean, you don't have a Navi in Breath of the Wild, so why not use some sort of guardian or some sort of friendly machine to use as that sort of Navi? But again, it could be a character that we could play as, which would be really cool. But even cooler than that, I would love to play as a full giant guardian. That would be so amazing, just shooting lasers and running up to people and just hitting them with all your legs. That would be so cool. cool. I would love that. And then going even deeper into this, I'm going to get into some of the characters that I would like to see, some of the characters that stood out the most from Breath of the Wild, some of the characters that would be interesting to see playstyles for, because I mean, Koei Tecmo, they can make a playstyle for any character. If you give them a character, they'll be like, yeah, I can find a way to put that in our game. Don't worry about it, we got it. First up, this dude who gives you his poop. I want to see him in the game. The dude with the maracas, Hestu, I want to see him in the game because I mean, I'm pretty sure he's probably gonna be like a joke character if they do put him in. He would be really interesting though. I mean, he'd probably shake his maracas and have like some sort of music effect around him. He'd probably be a character that has buffs or something like that, or maybe he could even shoot out Korok seeds. That would be interesting too. And hell, while we're at it, why not go over another musical character that could be in the game, Kaz? Because I mean, Kaz is a very important character in this game in Breath of the Wild, so why not make him playable? I would actually be surprised if they didn't make him playable, and it would be so awesome just running through the battlefield and playing these songs to fight your enemies with, and he just runs around and plays songs in order to fight. That would be the best. Oh my god, I want that. I need that in my life. Now this character, I'm not really sure how to put this. They don't really have a specific name, but I would say the Sheikah Guardians, the ones that you see at the end of shrines, some of them you can actually fight. It would be interesting if we had one of those characters as a playable character. You could just fight as one of the Sheikah elders. And speaking of Sheikah, first off, ladies and gentlemen, look at this character. I have seen so much Rule 34 art of this character. I'm pretty sure you may have too. I want her as a playable character. I want Paya as a playable character in this game because I've seen her so much. I really just don't think that they should keep her out of this game. She's definitely seeming like a character that needs to be playable in some way, shape, or form. And hell, while we're at it, I mean, you know, Koei Tecmo, you can do it. I know you can make a move set for Impa. I know she's an old ass woman. I know she doesn't really do much in the game, but hey, you know, I'm pretty sure you can find some way to make her playable somehow. I'm pretty sure that would be a thing that we could see. And hey, again, while we're on the topic of Sheikah, the last one I'm going to mention is Pera, because she has a lot to do with the machines. I can definitely see her being a character that has like some sort of like guardian drone around her that just protects her, and she can attack with that or something along the lines that, you know, involves just machines. That would be really cool. And you know what, just because we're talking about the Sheikah, we're going to talk about the evil Sheikah, or the Yiga clan, because I would love to see at least one of them be a playable character. If not a regular member of the clan, at least someone like the chief, for example. The chief of the Yiga clan would be an interesting character to put in there as well. Another kind of a joke character, seemingly. He probably has something to do with bananas. He probably shoot out bananas or some shit. He probably has something to do with bomb as well, because, you know, it has something to do with his boss fight in the game. Next up, I know we already have Urbosa as a character, obviously, but let's have the Gerudo chief of 100 years in the future. I mean, it doesn't really matter. They're going to do some stuff like that anyways, right? But let's have Riju as a playable character too. Now, what she would do, I'm not entirely sure, but I would love to see her have a moveset. It would most definitely have something to do with lightning, of course. Maybe she could be a faster and weaker version of Urbosa in some ways and have her own, maybe like a trident, a lightning trident of her own. Also, like, come on, I haven't seen him in the trailer, of course, but we have to have Sidon as a playable character. Come on, that's like one of the obvious characters that they have to put in there just because. Like, why not Sidon? He's so popular, again, for Rule 34 reasons as well, but he's such a popular character, they have to put him in as a playable character too. And just off the top of my head, that is some of the characters that I would love to see in the game, because I mean, if this game is going to really take inspiration just from Breath of the Wild and use characters that are only in Breath of the Wild, just go balls to the wall, just do whatever you can with every character that you could possibly pull from in this game, because why not? It will be fun. It's something that's interesting. But that does tie into something that I had a bit of a concern about, but honestly I'm not too concerned about it, because obviously this game is going to have a lot of story content, a lot of lore to it. But comparing this game to the first game had so much content. My goodness, if you play the definitive edition, you could literally play that game for 500 hours and probably still never complete it. Like seriously, there's so much content. I still have to go back and do plenty in that game to unlock different characters, different weapons, different colors. There is so much content in there. There's just so much gameplay. It is unbelievable. But again, all that content comes from how much of a world, how much of a universe they had to pull from each and every Zelda game. Basically from the beginning they had to pull from. And of course the second one is just going to be Breath of the Wild, so I was a little concerned about that, but seeing how they're just going to talk about what happened 100 years before the events in Breath of the Wild, I'm seeing that they're going to talk about quite a lot. It's going to be very much a story heavy game. It's going to be very much a lore heavy game, so I'm guessing that they're going to have quite a lot of content to go with that. And trust me, I think Koei Tecmo definitely has this locked down. I think they're going to have quite a lot to do with this game. Just don't worry yourself and think that this is going to be something that's going to be able to be run through in like one sitting or some shit like that. I'm pretty sure they're going to have a lot of content, maybe some, you know, expansion pass stuff later on, but they're probably going to have quite a bit to do. And I do have to say, another thing about this game that really just gets me excited is just the fact that it's expanding on Breath of the Wild, because going back to it, I love playing the game. I really want to go back to it and play it, but every time I do go back to it, I find myself lost because I've done so much already and I just don't have a whole lot left to do. A lot of the places just seem sort of empty. They seem like it's not really much to do with it. I do want to go back and just explore some more before this game comes out. I want to see exactly what else there is for me to do. I have the strategy guide like sitting right next to me right now, and I could probably go back and do more shrines and stuff, but I just love that the Age of Calamity is going to expand on that a bit more to just flesh out this world and have it be a lot more alive than it is in Breath of the Wild. Because I mean, you know, as much as I do love the game, some parts of it do seem a bit more empty than I would like it to be. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, that is enough rambling about this game for right now. Again, I am very much happy and excited for it. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And also don't forget to follow me on Twitter where we can continue the conversation. And I will see you guys in the next one.